Oh, Samuel, you really think you belong here? Look at you standing with your cart. It's priceless set. The great Samuel cart. What a joke.
There are moments in life that reveal more about a person's character than years of conversation ever could. They happen without warning, in places so ordinary that nobody expects history to begin there. On one quiet Tuesday morning, inside one of the busiest office buildings in Chicago, a single laugh echoed through a polished hallway. It lasted only a few seconds, yet before the week was over, that laugh would cost someone a career, a reputation, and everything she had spent years building. The man standing at the center of it all wasn't wearing an expensive suit or carrying a leather briefcase. He was holding a mop. His navy blue janitor's uniform blended into the background so completely that most people couldn't have picked him out of a crowd. To them, he was simply part of the building, another face they passed every day without a second thought. But sometimes, the people the world overlooks are the very ones holding the greatest secrets. Before we continue, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. For nearly 6 years, Samuel Carter arrived before sunrise every single weekday. While executives were still asleep, he unlocked storage closets, inspected every hallway, polished marble floors until they reflected the ceiling lights, and greeted the security guards by name. He knew which elevator made a strange noise every Thursday, which office plants needed watering, and which employees always left long after everyone else had gone home. He rarely spoke unless someone spoke to him first, and even then his answers were short, polite, and warm. Some employees appreciated him enough to say good morning, but many barely noticed he existed. Others treated him as though he were another piece of office furniture, useful only when something needed cleaning. Samuel never complained. He simply smiled, nodded, and continued his work. To anyone watching, he looked like a man who had accepted that life had passed him by. The truth was something no one inside that building could have imagined. The company's newest regional executive, Victoria Reynolds, had built a reputation for getting results. Profits increased wherever she worked, but so did complaints about her attitude. She believed respect came from authority, and that success belonged only to those willing to demand it. On her first day inside the Chicago office, she reorganized departments, changed office policies, and reminded everyone that excellence was no longer optional. Employees admired her confidence, but many feared her temper. She expected perfection from everyone around her, and she had little patience for anyone she believed slowed the company down. To Victoria, every person had a place in the corporate ladder, and she believed she stood near the very top. She had noticed the elderly janitor many times, but never once asked his name. Everything changed just before 9 o'clock that morning. Samuel had finished mopping the executive hallway and carefully placed a bright yellow caution sign near the entrance. As Victoria rounded the corner while reading emails on her phone, one of her high heels slid slightly across the damp floor. She caught herself before falling, but the brief stumble instantly drew the attention of nearby employees. Embarrassed and frustrated, Victoria turned toward Samuel with an expression that froze the hallway. "Do you even know how to do your job?" she snapped loudly. Conversations stopped. Doors opened. More employees gathered to watch. Samuel calmly apologized and quietly pointed toward the caution sign, standing only a few feet away. Victoria looked at it, then laughed. "Maybe cleaning floors is all you'll ever be good for," she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. A few nervous employees chuckled. Others lowered their heads. One employee discreetly raised a phone and pressed record. Samuel remained completely still before offering only a gentle smile. Then he spoke a sentence so calm that almost nobody paid attention to it. "Thank you," he said softly. People usually reveal who they are when they believe no one important is watching. The hallway fell silent. Victoria rolled her eyes, turned away, and walked toward the executive offices, convinced the moment was over. She had no idea that those few quiet words were only the beginning of a story that would soon bring every person in that building into a courtroom. In the next part, the office begins whispering about Samuel after the video spreads internally, and the first clue emerges that he may not be who everyone believes he is. The tension rises without revealing the central twist too early. The short video from the hallway wasn't supposed to leave the company's internal messaging system, but by lunchtime, nearly everyone in the building had seen it. Some employees laughed at Victoria's sharp remarks, while others couldn't stop thinking about Samuel's final sentence. It wasn't angry. It wasn't defensive. It sounded almost as if he already knew how the story would end. As people replayed the clip, one detail caught their attention. Samuel never looked embarrassed. He never argued. He simply smiled, picked up his mop, and continued working as though nothing had happened. That calm reaction became the real topic of conversation. Why didn't he defend himself? Why did he seem so certain? By the end of the afternoon, whispers filled every floor of the building, and for the first time in years, people who had ignored the janitor every day started asking the same question. Who exactly is Samuel Carter? Among those asking was Ethan Brooks, one of the building's oldest security guards. He had known Samuel longer than anyone else, and unlike most employees, he had taken the time to speak with him during early morning coffee breaks. Ethan remembered something strange from years earlier. Every December, a black luxury sedan would quietly pull into the underground parking garage before sunrise. A sharply dressed attorney would step out carrying a thick folder, meet privately with Samuel for a few minutes, then leave before the building became busy. Ethan had always assumed it was a family matter and never asked questions. But after seeing the hallway video, that memory refused to leave him. When another guard joked that Samuel probably lived in a tiny apartment somewhere across town, Ethan simply replied, "I wouldn't be so sure." Meanwhile, Victoria dismissed the entire incident as meaningless. During an afternoon meeting, She joked that some employees had become far too sensitive over a harmless comment. A few managers laughed along, eager to stay on her good side, but several others exchanged uneasy glances. Human Resources quietly requested a copy of the hallway footage after learning it had been recorded from 2 different angles. Victoria wasn't concerned. She believed the company would always stand behind an executive who delivered strong financial results. In her mind, the janitor's opinion carried no weight at all. The next morning, Samuel arrived at work exactly as he always did. He greeted the reception staff, organized his cleaning supplies, and began polishing the lobby floors. If the previous day's humiliation had affected him, he gave no sign of it. Around mid-morning, a young intern accidentally knocked over a stack of heavy boxes near the loading entrance. Papers scattered everywhere, and before anyone else reacted, Samuel quietly helped gather every document without saying a word. The grateful intern thanked him several times before noticing an old photograph that had slipped from Samuel's notebook. It showed a much younger Samuel standing beside a group of architects in front of the very same office building during its grand opening decades earlier. The building looked brand new, and Samuel wasn't wearing a janitor's uniform. He was dressed in a tailored suit. The intern stared at the photograph, confused. "Were you here when this place was built?" he asked. Samuel smiled gently, took back the picture, and tucked it into his notebook. "A long time ago," he replied. "People often forget how many stories a building can hold." Before the intern could ask another question, Samuel picked up his cleaning cart and walked away. From across the lobby, Victoria happened to notice the brief conversation. She couldn't hear what was said, but she didn't like seeing employees gathered around the janitor. Without hesitation, she called Human Resources and requested a meeting. By the end of the day, she had made a decision she believed would erase the problem once and for all. She ordered that Samuel Carter be terminated immediately. She had no idea that signing those papers would become the biggest mistake of her entire career. The following morning, the atmosphere inside the building felt unusually tense. Word had spread that Human Resources wanted to meet with Samuel before he began his shift. Employees quietly watched from their desks as he walked through the lobby with the same calm smile he wore every day. He wasn't rushing, and he didn't look worried. It was almost as though he already knew what was waiting for him. Inside the conference room, Victoria sat beside the HR director with a neatly prepared termination letter resting on the table. She spoke first, explaining that his recent interactions with staff had created unnecessary distractions, and that the company had decided it was time to move in a different direction.
We appreciate your years of
Samuel
service, Samuel.
listened without interrupting. When she finished, he read the letter carefully, nodded once,
We appreciate
and
your
signed
years
it
of service, Samuel.
without asking a single question. Victoria expected anger. She expected excuses or even
We
tears.
appreciate your years of service, Samuel.
Instead, Samuel folded the copy of the termination letter, placed it inside his worn leather folder, and stood up. Before leaving, he looked at everyone in the room and quietly said, Thank you for making this decision yourselves." The sentence puzzled everyone.
Time to head home.
The HR director frowned, unsure what he meant, but Victoria dismissed it as the words of a man trying to protect his pride. Samuel politely wished them a good day and walked out. As the conference room door closed behind him, Victoria leaned back in her chair with a satisfied smile. "That should be the end of it," she said confidently. She couldn't have been more wrong. Outside the building, Samuel didn't call family members or friends. Instead, he walked across the street to a quiet cafe and sat at a corner table. Less than 10 minutes later, a black luxury sedan pulled up outside. A sharply dressed attorney stepped out carrying a leather briefcase and greeted Samuel with a warm handshake. The cafe manager immediately recognized the attorney from local news interviews involving major commercial property cases. They spoke calmly for several minutes before opening Samuel's old leather folder. Inside were neatly organized documents, property records, and several sealed envelopes that looked decades old. Samuel signed a few papers, and the attorney smiled before saying, "It's time." They stood, shook hands once more, and drove away together. Back at the office, rumors spread faster than ever. Several employees had seen the expensive car waiting outside the cafe, and by lunchtime, everyone seemed to have a different theory. Some believed Samuel had hired a lawyer to sue for wrongful termination. Others laughed at the idea, insisting no janitor could afford one of the city's top attorneys. Then, another surprise arrived. The company's legal department received an official notice requesting that all surveillance footage, internal emails, disciplinary records, and employment files related to Samuel Carter be preserved immediately. The notice came from one of Chicago's most respected law firms. Suddenly, the laughter stopped. Even Victoria's confident smile began to fade. For the first time, she realized this wasn't ending with a simple dismissal. It was only beginning. 3 weeks later, both sides would meet in court. And before the first witness even took the stand, one unexpected question from the judge would leave the entire courtroom wondering who Samuel Carter really was. 3 weeks later, every seat inside the courtroom was filled. Reporters, employees, and curious members of the public waited as Samuel quietly entered, wearing the same modest suit from the old photograph the intern had discovered. Victoria arrived moments later with a team of attorneys, still believing the case would end quickly. Her lawyer argued that Samuel had simply been dismissed as part of a management decision, and that the company had acted within its rights. Then Samuel's attorney stood. Instead of beginning with emotional testimony, he requested permission to submit several documents into evidence. The judge nodded. One by one, certified property records, corporate filings, trust agreements, and decades-old financial documents were placed before the court. Victoria watched with growing confusion. She had never seen any of them before. The judge spent several silent minutes reading the paperwork before looking up at Samuel. "Mr. Carter," he asked, "are these records authentic?" Samuel answered calmly, "Yes, Your Honor. They have been for nearly 30 years. The courtroom became so quiet that every page turning could be heard." Samuel's attorney explained that decades earlier, after helping finance the construction of the building, Samuel had quietly purchased a controlling ownership interest through a family trust. Following the loss of his wife, he stepped away from public business and chose to live a quieter life. Rather than managing the property from a luxury office, he worked inside the building itself, believing a person's true character is revealed by how they treat those they believe have nothing to offer. He never interfered with daily operations and never disclosed his ownership because he wanted people to treat him honestly, not because of his wealth. Gasps echoed across the courtroom. Victoria slowly turned toward her attorney, hoping he would deny it, but he simply lowered his eyes. Every document had already been verified. Samuel's attorney then played the hallway video. The courtroom watched in silence as Victoria publicly mocked the man she never bothered to know. Additional security footage showed employees repeatedly treating Samuel with respect, while Victoria's own emails revealed a pattern of belittling staff members she considered beneath her position. The judge ruled that Samuel had been wrongfully terminated, publicly humiliated, and retaliated against without cause. Before announcing damages, he looked directly at Victoria. "Leadership," he said, "is measured by character, not titles." The board of directors, already seated in the courtroom, immediately voted to remove Victoria from her position. When asked if he wished to make a statement, Samuel slowly stood. "I never worked here to test people," he said. "I worked here because this building represented years of hard work, and I wanted to stay connected to the people inside it. Money can buy offices, but it can't buy kindness. Respect is free, yet it's often the rarest thing in the room." Many employees lowered their heads, remembering the times they had walked past him without even saying good morning. Several approached Samuel after the hearing to apologize. He accepted every apology with the same quiet smile he had worn from the beginning. In the months that followed, Samuel used part of his legal settlement to create scholarships for the children of maintenance workers, improve employee benefits, and establish leadership training focused on respect and dignity in the workplace. The story spread across the country, not because a wealthy man had won in court, but because an ordinary uniform had reminded thousands of people never to measure someone's worth by their job title. So the next time you pass someone carrying a mop, collecting trash, or quietly doing work that often goes unnoticed, remember Samuel Carter. The person standing quietly beside you may have a story greater than you could ever imagine. And if this story made you think differently about the people you meet every day, let us know in the comments. Have you ever witnessed someone being judged by appearances? We'd love to hear your story. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more unforgettable stories.